Has your child ever yelled at you, "You ruined it," screamed in a panic simply because you drove, say, like a slightly different way home? Or maybe you live with this low-level fear that one day the manufacturer might change the recipe or even just the box of your child's favorite chicken nuggets or cereal, because you know if that happens, they might stop eating altogether. We're constantly told that autistic children need consistency, and that's true. Predictability can create real safety. But there's a trap here, because sometimes without realizing it, consistency stops being about predictability and starts becoming a requirement that reality always stay the same. And when that reality inevitably doesn't cooperate, the road is closed, the store is out of stock, the plan changes, the weather doesn't cooperate, our kids can get hit with a level of panic that feels completely out of proportion to the change. Today I want to talk about how to honor your child's need for safety without getting trapped in the myth that life should stay perfectly consistent. Before we jump in, if you're new here, I'm Andrea Pollack. I'm a parenting educator and coach and parent of a almost 27 next week year-old autistic young man. Is your child one for whom sameness isn't just a preference? It's like a stabilizing force. It keeps the world understandable for them. In that case, as I'm sure you've experienced, when something changes, like the route you take, the color or shape of the cup, the brand that's available, or the order in which things happen, their nervous system doesn't experience it as different. It experiences it as wrong. That need for things to be exactly as expected is already part of how their brain works. So many times we're on defense. We swoop in to adjust the world to make the panic stop. And I can so relate to that. The issue is that ensuring consistency can quietly strengthen our child's sense that reality should change to fit their vision. But some things can't be controlled. We can't change the weather. We can't control what a store has in stock. We can't control whether a road is closed. We can't control whether someone chooses to befriend them. And this is where the balance matters, because sometimes, obviously, it's the right decision to protect the moment, especially on days when your child's capacity is already gone. They've used up all of their regulation. But there are other moments where the more supportive move is to help them tolerate the discomfort of the change. I know, it's really scary. It causes a lot of internal angst when we make that decision, but we're talking about balancing short-term comfort with long-term success, about helping their brain slowly learn, I can handle this. What matters is staying aware of the balance, when we're protecting comfort for the benefit of right now, and when we're quietly building skills for the future. And if this whole topic feels familiar, it's because you've learned something the hard way. Preventing one meltdown can mean saving the rest of the day. You stay alert, you adjust, you protect the fragile balance you've worked so hard to build. I know that place very well. I also learned that if we try to keep everything perfectly consistent forever, the world gets smaller and more brittle, and the inevitable changes hit harder. So obviously, we're not trying to become rigid about never accommodating. We're trying to become intentional about when we accommodate for capacity and when we practice flexibility on purpose. Here's a real-life example. Starting from when my son was very little, we're talking the toddler years, he had an uncanny sense of direction. If we drove the same way twice, it became a rule in his mind. Left here, right there, same sequence. And if we changed the route because of traffic or construction, he didn't just get mad. He was genuinely panicked. I don't like this. More, something is wrong with the world. In the beginning, it was tempting to just drive the right way to prevent his discomfort, because it worked. It calmed him. And honestly, it calmed me too. But at some point we realized we can't pave the entire world for him. No pun intended. So we started doing something different. We acknowledged what his brain was feeling. We explained briefly why we needed to change the route. And then we made some tiny changes to the route, even when we didn't have to. Again, we did it in tiny increments that he could handle. Not harshly, not to break him, but to help him learn that he could survive change so that when life gave us no choice, we had a chance of making it through. But also know this, sometimes it was hella messy. I want to make sure it doesn't sound like there was a smooth, incremental way to navigate this process. Sometimes he couldn't handle even the tiniest change, and it got ugly, fast. But we got back up, dusted ourselves off, and tried again. And fast forward, he's now a week away from being 27, and he still has this same instinct. He'll still point and say, go a different way. But here's what changed. He can tolerate it. He states his preference. I tell him why we're turning and that I know this is hard for him. But here's the key. I keep going and he can calm himself. That tolerance didn't appear because we avoided every moment of discomfort, and it didn't appear because we let him freak out in the back until he couldn't stand it anymore. It grew because we practiced it at a pace that his nervous system could handle. Now let's talk about the chicken nugget trap, because this one has even higher stakes. You finally find a brand that your child will eat, and the relief is real. So you buy that brand and only that brand, because the cost of experimenting feels too high. That makes perfect sense. But there's a little bit of a risk hiding inside that relief, because sameness can lock in so hard that when life changes, the brand changes the recipe or the store runs out, the box looks different, you're on vacation, it becomes an emergency. So the goal here is not push your child to eat new things, and it's definitely not take away safe foods. Safety first means your child has safe foods so that they can eat. But if you have any margin on a day when capacity is not zero, you can look for tiny, low-pressure ways to expand that build flexibility without turning food into a battle. Same nuggets, different plate. That might be one way. Same nuggets, different shape. Same nuggets, the old box next to a new box. The same safe food presented with one small change that doesn't demand much. Not to force eating, but to think about preventing rigidity from becoming so tight that normal life changes become a crisis. I want to be really clear here. I know that it's the way your child's brain works that's driving this issue. And I know that sometimes the opportunities to look for this or to help create this flexibility are few and far between. But this is about balance. Some days you protect the moment, other days you build the skill, if you can. So what do you do in the moment when your child is panicking because something is different? Here are some things you can try to keep you on steady ground. First, name what's happening without arguing. I know, we usually go left. That feels wrong to your brain. I get it. Step 2, hold reality clearly. That road is closed, so we can't go that way. We're going to go this way instead. Or maybe, these are the nuggets we have today. Is there some way that would help you eat them? You're acknowledging that it's not easy for them, and you're there to support. Step 3, don't scramble to erase the discomfort immediately. Again, sometimes we have to accommodate because their capacity is gone and protecting the moment matters. But sometimes it's really important that we don't jump in because that's when we're building the flexibility muscle. Either way, we're not trying to win, we're trying to lead with steadiness, with clarity, with judgment. Because flexibility isn't something you can explain your child into. It's something their nervous system earns slowly through experience, when they're supported through change and find out that they can survive it. This is the kind of decision-making and navigating I help parents with in coaching. Figuring out where those opportunities are to stretch the flexibility just a bit, where the balance actually fits your child and your real life, so you're not stuck guessing in the hardest moments. So back to the overall big consistency. If you've ever felt guilty because you can't keep your child's life perfectly consistent, I hope this feels like a moment of relief, learning that keeping perfect consistency is not ideal anyway. You're living in reality, and your child's long-term safety depends on learning that reality can change and that they can still be okay. So yes, protect them when capacity is not available. Make the day workable, but when there's room, even the littlest bit, practice flexibility in tiny ways so that future changes don't feel like a free fall. I'm curious, what's the equivalent of the driving route in your house? Is it a cup, a chair, a food, the exact brand, the exact order of events that has quietly become the law? Tell me in the comments, what's one accidental rule your child created that you're trying to loosen slowly at a pace they can handle? And if you know another parent who's living on high alert, trying to keep the day from blowing up, please share this video with them. It might be the first time they hear someone describe what they're actually carrying. If you like this, please hit the subscribe button. It helps me reach those parents exactly. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.